Hi everyone. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about the subsistence pattern of the Harappan civilization. It has been the regular feature of civil services mains exam to ask about the subsistence pattern. Many students ask me that, sir, what is subsistence pattern? Actually, it is all about the economy and how they used to, what was the modus operandi for their survival. So that is all about subsistence pattern. Basically, it includes the agriculture, the art and craft, metallurgy, and whatever they had, handicraftmanship, whatever source of their income that comes into subsistence pattern. As far as agriculture is concerned, we have very strong evidence that without agriculture, civilization cannot survive. And to know the agriculture, let's look at many sites. Like in Kalibanga, you have the furrowed pattern of plowed field. Like in Rojdi, you will find similar kind of field. In Sortu Ghai, you will find a similar kind of field. Secondly, we do have enough example of animal husbandry, agriculture, and in agriculture they were expert in using irrigation system, especially from Sortu Ghai. We have seen the classic example of canal irrigation. However, we do not find the evidence of canal irrigation on widespread scale, but then it was there. We find wells from most of the civilization. We find small dams also, so they knew how to collect the water. But then canal irrigation we don't find much. As far as crops are concerned, mainly they used to raise the rabi crops, and by the end of second millennium BC we find the start of kharif crops. Generally the rabi crops are, so generally what we find that wheat and barley from most of the sites we find as the staple crops. The problem with the finding of crop is that because of these are the organic things, won't survive for a long period. So you will find the charred form grain or carbonized form of grain, right? Secondly, you'll find some stocking or impression in some bricks or pottery or seals or something like that. So these are the only sources through which we know that which crops were there and which were not. But then we do have enough example of so many crops were used by the Harappans, like wheat, barley. From Rangpur we have the example of Lothal and Rangpur, this rice cultivation also, right? But it appears that rice was not used everywhere. Wheat, we have got 3 types of wheat and 3 to 4 types of barley. So they were the widespread there was widespread use of these 2 crops. Also, if you look at lentils were there, millets, all sort of millets are there, even African millets, jowar and bajra also came to the Harappans. Sugar cane was in practice. Many scholars believe that sugar cane was there. Then this pea, all sort of pea, chickpea, peas, grass pea, grams, all sort of gram, green gram, horse gram, all sort of gram they used to eat. Also, we have enough evidence of garlic, as I told you before, then from Balu. And then ginger cultivation. Then we have evidences of this turmeric in use. Turmeric they knew how to use. Then they knew they were acquainted with the sugar cane, eggplant, right? So several things, watermelons, melons, right? Enough evidences of mango, nowadays grapes, people are telling that grapes also, cotton. But yes, cotton, even we have the clothes also. But then they knew about flax seeds or linseeds. Linseed oil was more popular in the civilization, but we don't know. We don't have any evidence of linen. Linen basically manufactured by the flax only. So it is better than the cotton, but we don't find any linen kind of clothes. Probably they were more using this. They were using only these cotton fabrics. As far as animals are concerned, yes, we have plenty good numbers of Jebu cattle, then water buffalo, tiger, elephants, but we do not find any evidence of cow represented anywhere. That is also surprising. Secondly, it appears that they were not acquainted with the camel. We don't find any ashes of camel before 7th century AD. We don't find single hump camel. But yes, we do have double hump camel known as Bactrian camels were there during the Harappans. Perhaps. Also, we don't find any evidence of horse in the civilization from anywhere. That is also unique. In the late age, we have one evidence of Surkotra, but many people claim that it may be ass also. But it is also surprising. Bullock cart is there, ox is there, ox cart is there, chariot is there, yeah. But we don't have any evidence of horse so far. Many animals were domesticated, many were used for agriculture, and perhaps they used to eat also. We have evidences of fish from Balakot, yeah, fish bones are there, Balakot. And one of the pottery of Harappa depicts one fisherman with two nets. Also, we have one pottery from Harappa depicting one person trying to hunt or kill water buffalo. So, hunting was one of the practice known to the Harappans. Also, they knew about generally they were non-vegetarian also, because they used to kill many animals for the food also. We have enough example of chicken, many cattles, even they had started eating the chickens, yeah. In tandoors, we have the evidences of ashes of chicken. These were some of the aspects of their agriculture, like we have some seed apparatus and all. Besides agriculture and animal husbandry, the most unique feature, and you can say most advanced feature, which Harappans had attained, was metallurgy. They are very much expert in. We have many copper smelting, factories from different sites like Lothal and many other sites. Yeah, in copper smelting factory, what you find that this brick line kind of pits were there, yeah, and then they used to clay and wax model for making copper potteries. But besides this, they were very much expert in mixing copper with tin and converting them into bronze. Besides this, they knew the use of arsenic, they knew the use of lead and tin. That is not a normal thing. We have plenty good example of ornaments in silver, this gold, copper, different metals. It's unique. But now the question comes in place, from where they used to import all these things, because you cannot find everything from one city. So definitely these things would have been imported from neighboring area or neighboring, but there are many things which are not available in the neighboring area. So for example, tin. For tin, they have to depend on Afghanistan. It was not available so easily, or else Hazaribagh in Jharkhand. Silver could have been available near Ajmer area, and gold, from the beginning itself, Mysore, Kolar mines, and we don't find any example North Indian side for gold. So largely they dependent on South Indian sides. Definitely there would have been some contacts. As far as they were using, chert stone for making weights, yeah. So this chert stone they used to import from Sakkar Rohri area, that is in Sindh, yeah. Then from Hormuz coast they used to bring this red color, because most of the pottery you will find red colors, plenty red wares were used. So you will find that different like from one place we have fuchsite cups. Mohenjo-daro has yielded one cup which is made up of fuchsite, and that came from South India. There was one, they were using this Amazonite also, and that basically came from Hirapur Plateau, this Gujarat. Then we have the evidences of jade, precious, semi-precious, gem, came from Pamir Plateau. So this Turkish, they used to, they were also using this Turkish, Badakhshan area it used to come import from. So in that way they might have established, because we have enough evidences of, we have the weights, proper regular shaped weights and measurement. We have, the scales also, not one type, different type. Ivory scale from Lothal, this bronze scale from Harappa, cell scale from Mohenjo-daro. In that way, different type of scales we have, and that too graduated scale. They knew the exact marking and all. That's not a normal thing. Besides these things, beside this metallurgy and other things, they were very much expert in making of this pottery, and most of the pottery was the Wilton pottery, and a special exclusive design. If you find for red wares, they used to, mostly red wares were manufactured with the black lining, and that is why it is known as black slipped red ware. So if you want to identify the spread of Harappan culture, pottery is one of the strongest, evidence through which you can make out this is Harappan pottery. And exclusive Harappan pottery, imbibes the feature of black slipped red ware. Besides this, we have and on these pottery they used to have different designs, paintings, different portrayal, right? That shows that they were very expert, and they knew how to make an advanced kind of pottery. And besides pottery, if you want to see, they were very much expert in monument building, because see, big monuments, big structures, as we have already discussed. So it cannot happen without the knowledge, right? So this would have been one of the common profession of making buildings and all, right? So these are some of the traits of what you call agriculture, animal husbandry, and then irrigation, then you call it handicraft, metallurgy, right? And these used to provide kind of subsistence pattern for the Harappans. Okay. Besides this, these Harappan cities, these Harappan experts were well versed in another industry known as the seal making industry. We have plenty of seals from almost every Harappan sites. They are generally square shaped seals having a semi-circular hole in the back side. Perhaps that was for putting thread on that. Secondly, most of the seals bear some inscription and animal representation, which is indicative of some kind of, some scholars believe that it used to be a kind of pass for, foreigners or anyone or trade or traders to enter into the city. There may be many speculation, but unless we have the script, we cannot be very specific on our conclusion. Besides this, one of the interesting feature which comes out from the Harappan, handicraft, that is the making of the faiences. That is not a normal thing. It's quite unique and quite wonderful faiences the Harappans knew how to make. Like what kind of things these faiences, generally they used to make the beads of these faiences, very lustrous kind of faiences. In making of these faiences, they used to melt down the chert stone, the soap stone, and then they used to make the luster of pulverized silicate, magnesium, and metal oxides. So it's very interesting to see these faiences. So these were, the main occupations and the sources of livelihood for the Harappans. Besides this, the next topic what we are going to see is the international trade and commerce by the Harappans. There are many indications which give us the lead towards their international contact. For example, from Lothal we have the famous example of the round shaped Persian seal. As already I have discussed, the Gilgamesh seal from cylindrical seal from Mohenjo-daro. There are many, like if you go to Oman, Eastern Oman Bank, Al-Had or Al-Jinj kind of ports, you will find there are many Harappan potteries, Harappan weights, Harappan, vessels, and many examples of Harappan handicrafts from there. Besides this, one of the inscription during the regime of Sargon of Akkadi, we find the passing reference of Magan. People doubt that, but then there are very strong evidences from both the civilization which indicate that there were the very strong relation between the two. Why? Because even we have ships, we do not find on some of the seals and clay pottery or clay model, we have the evidences of some ships having mast and all. But then these ships, most of the scholars believe that could be compared with the present single mast ship used by the Arabs, and they deliberately they know what is the tidal timings, and accordingly they decide where to go and when to go, and then the Arabs make. But then if you see the spread of the civilization, if you are spread up to Sortugai and Sutka Gendor, you are very close to the Arab country. So within 3 or 4 hours you can go and come back. Yeah. So these ships, small ships or small, kind of ship structure would have been enough to visit those sites. Otherwise, how come it is possible that we have enough evidences of cultural reminiscences from Mohenjo-daro, Lothal, and many sites, Indian sites. We have the cultural reminiscences of the Magan, Dilmun, Magan, and all those areas, Arabian countries, Oman, and many Mesopotamian civilization like Ur, Kis, Umma, Lagas, right? We have many traces in the form of seals and all, potteries and all. Similarly, these Harappan potteries, chisels, copper hoards, bronze hoards are plenty in numbers there, found from these Mesopotamian cities. So definitely there was some kind of interaction. Everything cannot be a coincidence. Why? Because in the same period they are contemporary, they are referring, and especially there are so many things which are exclusive to the Harappans. If they are found in those civilizations, one cannot deny the cultural contact between the two. So this was about the Harappan civilization. We saw the economy, we saw. Now there are some other things like polity, like society. As far as polity is concerned, it cannot be denied that there would have been a very strong, centralized kind of system and municipality in place. Why? Because how come these potteries used to reach in every civilized center of the civilization? There must be some kind of communication, proper transportation, communication, and they had some kind of guild kind of system. Otherwise, it is very difficult to get a, if you are producing something and it is reaching out to, it is being accessible to each and every part of the civilization, that too in such a vast territorial regime, it cannot happen without a strong communication. Definitely there was a proper transportation and communication. We are unable to find out. But in the absence of a script, it is very difficult deciphering. Unless we decipher the script, we cannot conclude anything in a specific manner. We cannot be very sure about that, yes, this was the thing and this happened, this didn't happen. This was about, as far as the society is concerned, we do corroborate some religious thing and all, but dress pattern and food habits and all. But then when it comes to like whether Varna system existed or not, it is very difficult to conclude in the absence of literature. But then yes, we do have so many things to believe that yes, there was some kind of hierarchy in the society. If we look at the structure, it was not a kind of equitable society, right? Some kind of hierarchy existed because lower town, higher town, this citadel and all. In many ways, we find that traces are very high about the hierarchical society. But then again, here, if you don't have the literature or deciphered script, how come you conclude? So this is how and what we know about the Harappan civilization. Generally, if you look at the questions, they will ask you the distinctive traits and the features of economy, geography, like society, polity, subsistence pattern, and generally they will say that they will ask, especially if you see the question in past few years, especially in the mains, generally they ask about the traits of the civilization, then how it appeared, how it disappeared, or why a decline of the civilization, then the subsistence pattern and all. So these are the proper and then sometimes continuity and survival. So these are the major questions of Harappan civilization. With this, I conclude the topic called Harappan civilization. Thank you very much.